Welcome to XR Room, India's first AR/VR focused podcast. And today I have with me Mr. Vivek Reddy, who's the CEO and co founder of Viga Entertainment Technology. He's a filmmaker and technologist with a foundation in electronics and communication engineering and a master's in computer graphics and game technology from the University of Pennsylvania. Viga has created AI tools such as Movie Collab, ScriptWiz, and pioneering virtual production solutions for film production. He's also produced Heart of Akhnar, which is got real-time CGI, virtual production, and we're going to be speaking about the future of storytelling. So, Vivek, really appreciate you taking time being part of the podcast. Why don't we start with a
Thank you,
small,
Eddie.
brief introduction and background?
I'm from Bangalore, born and brought up here, and I studied electronics and communication engineering over here. A lot of math, science, lot of engineering and everything, but most of the time it was like pointlessness in terms of why are we even studying all of this. Kind of a feeling was always engulfing me, but at the same time I was also doing, shooting films, short films, and everything. Winning a lot of awards while doing that. And went on to I was like at a point where should I continue like just becoming some software engineer, just like everybody else were also doing, or should I enter the world of filmmaking because visual effects and filmmaking was very interesting for me as a career. So then that at that point it was mostly like a debate, like, oh my God, I've studied so much all this while, so much of hard work has gone into passing all these exams and getting good grades and everything. I'm just going to stop all of this, so I should not do that. So there was this point where I had to balance my career from engineering point of view and creativity point of view. That's when I found out there was a job position called as technical director in movies, and hence I found my master's degree in University of Pennsylvania, where it was a master's in computer graphics and game technology, which would enable you to work in you know uh, like good productions, like as a technical director. So that was my education. And then when I went on to work on several projects when I was in Los Angeles. And the peak moment was in the moment when I worked on Lion King in 2016 to 2019. And then the fast forward is like it's been 5 years, almost exactly 5 years since Viga started. It was on Feb 21st, mm, like 2019. And then so it's now 5 years since the company has been operational. And yeah, that's the fast story.
You did a very traditional education. I, in
Mm,
fact, kind of dropped out
mm,
in college, and somehow education was not exciting me whatsoever. I got into the
mm,
creative industry.
mm,
Started producing content for advertising agencies, started composing songs, and
mm,
then over the years, I have got back into education where it's a completely like a self-learning process where I I have been seeking education, in the means of through, these podcasts, through online means, because I guess the world is completely changing today. I mean, unfortunately, eh, eh, these education systems, these institutions, they are so expensive and they kind of bog down a family or a student,
mm,
or these with these huge student debts when education in the forms of MOOCs, massive open online courses, and so much is available free, right from the top institutions, be it MIT, Cambridge, Harvard, and so on and so forth. So it's I think it's always the desire and intent. And I think we get stuck in theory. There's so much that needs to be done in the practical. We got into a world where skills is so important, and I think
mm,
education institutes needs to kind of, I mean, look towards skills, more than theory. I mean, theory obviously is important, but
yeah.
I think skills. So since you mentioned about education, I thought, I should, even share a little bit about, what I feel personally about the education, because today I think most of my learning has been through interactions
Mm,
with my guest, and I've got a thirst to learn more. I've got no technical background, but it's this constant interaction and asking these questions, and through these questions you kind of find answers. and you're constantly asking questions, you're learning. And I think life is about that, because there's so much dynamics which is happening. And I want to get into all of the stuff that you've done with Viga Entertainment. But I think before Viga Entertainment, let's go to your backstory with
Mm.
Walt Disney, and the stuff that you've done with Lion King in assisting them in the virtual production. It would be
Mm.
great if you could talk about
Yeah.
that.
I mean, on the topic of education, the one thing I wanted to tell was it's during my master's and in the initial part of my career is when I realized the value of almost every formula that I ever learned. Like everything from second order differential equations to a Snell's law, or as basic as a vector mathematics or a transpose of a matrix. Pretty much every math formula and a physics formula that I actually learned throughout schooling or engineering is something I have utilized in my life in the first part of my career. During that phase, so I was always feeling a lot of gratitude for all the education that we have in India. Because even though sometimes it felt very forced, but later on, computer graphics as a subject is about simulating the reality around you. And in the process of simulating the reality, you have to understand the math of everything around you, how a material is functioning, how the energy absorption function works, how a photon moves, energy loss functions. Pretty much everything will come to you, every formula. Now, in that process, I was working on a lot of films as a technical director, right? Like helping out on the technical stuff on content in a company called Prologue Films. A lot of VR stuff was happening when I was. So I used the first DK1 itself, Oculus DK1, back in 2012, about 12 years ago now. And we built a game back in the day. And I was working at very low frame rates and had health issues and all because of low frame rate working in Visual Studio and everything. And now I wanted to get into production, I was in always post production in the beginning part. So I wanted to get into production, and production was their opportunity showed up in the form of Lion King, because they were looking for somebody who did have knowledge in electronics and networking and writing plugins in real time. So it's like my career kind of came back with everything that I had learned all through my life into one single project, which required that. So for the project Lion King, they were the majority of the team was coming from Jungle Book. They had already shot Jungle Book with live action humans, and then there were digital animals also. MPC was the visual effects vendor, and then in this project it was completely digital. There was absolutely no real metric here to shoot with. So the goal was in Playa Vista in Los Angeles. They had to build a massive place which had completely filled with sensors and new hardware that can make all the decision makers to go into virtual reality and then shoot the film in virtual reality, and then operate devices and hardware from the virtual world, and hence make the content possible. So to do this, the like I said, there are three important components. The first one was all the hardware. You need to build all the electronics, all the sensors, all the encoders, all the decoders, install them on the physical hardware. The goal was you need to shoot it like a real film, and not like you can also argue like, okay, why not just go and dial in some numbers on Unreal Engine or Unity? Why build hardware? Like the goal was there were a lot of filmmakers coming into this project who are from the real world film shoots. Like cinematographer is coming from a background of not animation but from real world film shoots. The same applies to the person moving the dolly, the person moving the crane. They wanted to bring the knowledge of real world filmmaking into the virtual world, and hence there was a demarcation line between what is technology for them versus how complication works from our perspective, because we should not expose certain tools and certain logic directly to an artist. There should be a barrier in which they should be able to do their work with their focus and their art style, and we should be able to power them up with technology. So in the background, we built all the hardware. Let's say you take a dolly or a tripod, you build all the customized hardware on top of these devices so that the user can operate them naturally, but the data is being recorded. The data is being recorded, and now it has to transmit also. So that's where networking comes in. It has to transmit in low latency at the highest speeds to all these PCs that are rendering data. So the goal for us was, all right, hardware installation is done. Then the networking part for us, it was motion to photon latency. The moment a cameraman is moving a hardware, we need to send the signal from the hardware to the PC and then render out the frame and then send it back to the monitor in which they're seeing. And all of the roundabout should happen in 11 milliseconds to, make them feel like similar to virtual reality, that they should not feel any latency, or else the camera movement will feel like very laggy and then they won't be able to make good decisions. So that was a networking part, and then in we were using Unity to make that whole film, and there were about 1,700 shots. Almost every shot had every environment has to be loaded into Unity. You have to build custom plugins so that you have camera control, you have character control. So whenever the production designer, cinematographer, and director are wearing virtual reality headsets and shooting in virtual reality, they would ask for, hey, let's have these plants, let's move these characters and everything. You need to have somebody helping them out using uh, plugins inside Unity. So that I was also part of that, building node editors, custom node editors that can give you uh, give emphasis on input and output and modify the inputs and outputs. So those were the three key areas where I was playing the role in this project. And yeah, the visual effects were not finalized in the game engine. It was done by MPC. But the actual a shooting is where environment is already done, characters are like reasonably done, and then you actually shoot for the camera. The blocking happens and everything happens in the virtual production shoot. And once the shot is finalized, then you send it for high quality visual effects. So I was part of the team called Magnopus. It's a LA based company, and Magnopus was part of this Walt Disney's project. So we were all in one place. Walt Disney, Magnopus, MPC. We were all in one place, working in collaboration to make this project happen.
How cool is that? I think it was such a groundbreaking project where the entire language of how we capture content kind of like shifted. I mean, just a little bit, but shifted. How do you see this panning out in the near future? With brave filmmakers,
Mm,
how do you see this? Because see, at this point in time, I mean, there's too much. I mean, there's so many convergence which is happening. It's virtual production, it's virtual reality, it's AI, it's
mm,
generative AI, and these were the early days, I mean, this I forgot the year, when Lion King was done, I mean, this
2019. Yeah.
2019, we
Mm,
are in 2024. What's the
5 years.
cutting? Yeah, yeah, 5 years. What's the progress from Lion King, where the entire filmmaking crew, from the director, the DOP, being capturing things virtually in a virtual world. I mean, how is this going to progress in the future? What's your thoughts on that? And why
So,
isn't it trickled down here in India? What's the challenges?
so it's been 5 years since I have moved back to India, and the goal was and the goal or thought process was, why is India not able to make such a film? All right. Like I was always curious about that. Ever since I was, studying, we all have seen, we take pride in certain films that, oh, we are like really big, but I don't see that actually happened at all, in spite of whatever that film is. Even let's not take names or anything, but I don't see that happening at all right now. Okay, Jurassic Park was released 1994, so my benchmark is Jurassic Park was released in 1994. All right, that time frame, and we are almost 30 years into that time frame. Have you seen a film on the par of Jurassic Park? And my answer is no. I don't think anything has been realistic enough to sell that kind of a story. Now, where is why is it not happening? So the core answer, according to me, was four layers of answers. In US, the whole evolution of visual effects happened from the semiconductor industry. So it was Apple and Intel, and those were the first beginners. And once that was there, then came the graphics API layers, the OpenGL DirectX from Microsoft, and Metal APIs from Apple or OpenGL. And then they came the application layer where Autodesk came up, Dassault Systems came up, and then the content layer came up. So it was divided into four layers of evolution. Over here, you don't have the basic bottom three layers at all. That doesn't exist even today. You do not have a semiconductor company, and hence the knowledge. See, the whole thing is everything works as a linear pipeline of knowledge. Knowledge transfer happens like when a film like Lion King is shot, when a big film is being made in any country, it's business for everyone, right? Everybody at the end of the day makes business out of it. So everybody supports each other as an ecosystem. So NVIDIA will be there supporting for real-time virtual production of high-quality visuals along with Epic Games when they're making content. Or at least there will be driver compatibility discussions happening between game companies and driver companies. And right, this is all running on a single ecosystem. Now that ecosystem is not there here at all. Okay. So there is no basic semiconductor layer you don't have, and then you do not have anyone or making APIs here, and then you don't have anybody making application layer here. You won't find anything. Like there are 140 crore people, but you won't find any application layer. But you will find design people and QA people here for all the big companies that are out there in US. And hence the content layer has taken the hit, which is not visible at first sight. Even government policies in India also, they just focus on creator policies, creator, let's make animators, and compositors. And they take pride in the fact that we are a service nation, but there's no understanding of the other three layers. And hence, even to this day, you won't find very high quality content at all in India. Now, so this has been the story of like where we are today. Now, how are we working on? Like obviously, a story is about conflict, and then how do you try to solve the conflict, right? That's exactly how I think about the conflict that I have with India, or that's exactly how I am assuming the reason storytelling is like that. And then now, how are we working on solving it, or where are we today in 2024 when compared to 2019? The first thing that we tried to do when I came back with Viga is we started working on production management or process driven workflows. So for me, a good film can only happen if you have process. You need to have a manufacturing pipeline, just like a car assembly line. If you do not have that, the process is broken, and hence the product is broken. I don't see process in India. I see process is broken. I don't see process being followed. There is no emphasis on process. Even if the tools are available, even if softwares like ShortGrid are available, F-Track is available, there was no process being followed in studios or production houses. So my understanding was, softwares are cheap, but the people who work on those softwares are expensive. That's the problem for India to adopt softwares in their pipeline in film and entertainment. So, which is why we started building a production management software. That's the that's the idea in which we went, which is we are going to build a production management software called Movie Collab, and we have built it. Also, we are using it in our productions right now, but it's focused on real time rendering. It's not focused on visual effects pipelines. Visual effects pipelines have evolved from 2005, and we don't need all that pipeline right now. I don't see a point in using that whole ecosystem right now because real time works very differently, and I'm a very hard supporter of real time based workflows than traditional VFX rendering pipelines. So the software is completely built on top of real time workflows where if an artist is working on something and if they need feedback, it should be coming in under 10 seconds kind of a workflow. They should not be able to wait for like 5 hours or 6 hours because if you ask them to change clouds today, you can change the clouds in like 6 seconds. So the traditional pipeline is broken according to me, and the so we wanted to be this product company who can also like build solutions that are used elsewhere in the world as well. So which is why we built Movie Collab, part number one. Point number two is the biggest problem we saw in India was there was no pre-planning available for filmmaking, which is storyboarding, and pre-visualization was not available. So, which is why we started focusing on pre-visualization with a infrastructure as a service solution called as RTMS, which is real-time movie studio. It's an end-to-end production house. It's available in our website vigait.com/rtms, where it has end-to-end solutions of hardware and software available in a single place, where anybody can come and make their entire film end-to-end in either previous quality or certain shots in final quality. So these are the two solutions which we are extremely focused on in the world of content creation right now. And there was a third solution that came up about from a year ago, which is called as ScriptWiz. It's because whenever we spoke with our clients, we never got the pre-visualized storyboards from them. It was always hard to get those storyboards because, and also it was not conveying the message properly. So, which is why we started ScriptWiz, which is a generative AI software, which you can just upload your script and it will break it down into shots like a director using standard filmmaking rules, and then it will convert those shots into storyboards using diffusion models. Now, now this is a problem that could be solved using AI, and hence we have solved it, and we are using it in our productions right now. So this is where we stand right now as a tech stack.
Right. Vivek, really, really appreciate you running through your journey, the problems. And you mentioned the problem is that the ecosystem support is not there. And we, as a nation, have been pushing the narrative that we are a service nation. And there is so much more that can be done. It's only if we change that narrative. And I think the world, like you rightfully pointed out, has kind of transitioned from visual effects to the real-time CGI pipeline, but possibly maybe India, the ecosystem is still not ready for it. You spoke about your products, your movie collab, ScriptWiz. Want to get into that, but before that, Heart of Akhnar. I mean, you yourself have tried into solving that problem, or maybe building narratives, leveraging these tools, these real time CGIs, your 3D engines such as Unreal Engine, motion capture, and things like that. Will be great if you could talk about Heart of Akhnar, the
Hmm.
entire tech breakdown, what were the
Hmm.
challenges, and if somebody wants to build movies in leveraging virtual production solutions, tech stacks such as 3D engines, where does he or she start from?
So, Heart of Akhnar, that project was directed by Debayan. He is one of our creative directors here in Viga. Now, the goal for this project at the initial time for us was it was mostly like a stress test of our pipeline, to go stress test how good is our pipeline. But let's do it with a story mindset. So how do we go about it? The biggest challenge that you observe in Unreal Engine is you only see 2 to 3 minute demos or maximum 5 minute demos if you go to YouTube or somewhere, or you'll see small sequences in movies, but you don't see full-fledged content. It's because it's very hard to make full-fledged content with game engines because data management is like a very hard task. The game engines will crash regularly. There's a lot of hype cycle also that is wrongly marketed. Also, there are a lot of technical challenges when you go for a big project, so you have to be very careful in how your pipeline is handled. So before Heart of Akhtar, we had done a TV show called Shurveer for Hotstar, and this TV show was having 600 shots. We were able to use Movie Collab and we were able to do it in Unreal Engine, but it was not a story-driven content. So story-driven content requires humans, digital humans, expressions, and acting, animation, and everything. What we decided was, all right, point number one, we are going to stress test our pipeline. Point number two is, can we emote characters and bring good stories alive with Unreal Engine? That is a stress test number two. Okay. And three is work on the distribution pipeline. How will distribution work in this market and everything? So in point number one, we started putting all the data into a pipeline. We were able to have a good pipeline. We did have pipeline problems for which Again, when a problem occurs, we would like to solve it with process, not plug and play kind of a thing. They use the word called hacks, right? Like small hacks that can actually solve the problem. But we focused on trying to see that the process is organized in that whole ecosystem. So once the pipeline was organized, then what happened was, mm, with respect to storytelling, we started to see if we can embed something like local content, not just international uh, kind of storytelling, but can we embed like localized information and everything. So for that, we used GPT to give us and brainstorm ideas. Uh, and then we used ScriptWiz to get our AI based storyboarding. And then once the pipeline was set, uh, we started working on the storytelling, the emotion parts. And face capture was good, I would say okayish, but not the greatest of all. We started pushing out through keyframed animation on our end, and it came out good, but I would still rate it at 60% in terms of emoting of characters. I'm still expecting digital humans to be extremely good in 2025 2026 timeframe, and animation was okayish in terms of we were using mocap based upon the Moo.ai RGB capture. We have a IMU suit which we used for like certain sequences, but RGB we used for pretty much a lot of the other sequences. And then finally render was done in Unreal Engine. A lot of iterations happened with Movie Collab. And so those were the two things. Pipeline test was happening, character uh, communication was happening, and finally, when it came to distribution, is where we understood India was not open for animated content. That's what we started learning from the market when we started reaching out to people. That's been the story so far about Heart of Akhnar.
Wish you the very best, and I hope that this pipeline using 3D engines for narratives evolves. You mentioned even through for digital humans, meta human, maybe like a timeline of 2025, 26, when you'll have realistic looking characters with possibly realistic uh facial emotions, and not just the facial, even the body movement.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I think we getting into an exciting point of time. You also, during the course of
Right.
the conversation, you mentioned that hype. There is obviously tremendous hype of metaverse, spatial computing, AI. Right now, AI obviously is in this hype cycle. But every hype cycle, it goes ups and down. And there are these winters, and then it just keeps on following till the time the tech stack kind of evolves and starts giving out real world value, and then it becomes mainstream, and then nobody calls it tech.
Mm-hmm.
When do you see that happening with technology stacks such as metaverse? And now, because I think as companies, I mean, these big techs, they've used these names through the years: virtual reality, extended reality, mixed reality, spatial computing, metaverse, and so on and so forth. When do you think this is metaverse is going to add real world value realistically? That's my first question. And secondly, also address this convergence of sorts with text tool tech tools such as the Gen AI tech stack, which does text to image, text to 3D, text to your game building, world generation. And it just, I think 2 days back, OpenAI released their, not publicly, but released their tool Sora,
Mm-hmm.
tech to video. How is all this going to largely impact filmmaking? And is
Mm.
India ready for it, or we are just living under a roof because we buy onto the hype cycle quickly without getting our feet and hands dirty or understanding? What are your views on that?
Yeah. So from what I've seen, all my last 12 years since I used the Oculus DK1, applications will only be useful if there is value being created for the society. Right now, uh, right now the whole world works in like marketing. It's usually like, hey, we have done this project kind of sentence comes up, that comes from marketing agencies or from brands or something. When they have a marketing budget, let's say $200,000, they don't mind putting another $15,000 to put for some experience. Is it useful? Is it not useful? Most of the time it is not useful, because there is no real value you're getting from anything. Usually it should solve up when something solves a problem is when something is useful, or else it's just being you know used as some as a pastime for a bunch of managerial layers who want to get themselves some brownie points about their job or something like that. That's exactly how I'm observing this market right now. uh, Real value is also there in niche segments. Usually it's in B2B cases. uh, but see, openly you should also know that, see, I have used VR so much that I have got seizures from it. Okay. This was in 2016. I've used it at low frame rates though, which is very bad, very very bad. As a developer, that is very very bad. I was using at 15, 18, 20 frames per second and all. Now, see, VR, I have used Quest 3 also, and then the people who have used Apple's Vision Pro also, they also feel little nauseating, in spite of how good the tech stack is. It is always nauseating if you're using it for longer durations, be it AR or VR. So what is the value proposition? Is it like watching movies in like a theatrical setting? Is that what is going to provide value to somebody? Is that privacy? Or is it putting multiple computer screens? In reality, do we work like that? Do we really work like that is the question. Be it any example that is showcased in the world of these technologies, if it's not practical, then it is not usable. And I don't and Some of the things that I like are usually in the world of planning, in the world of digital twins, which can solve certain problems, not everything again. It's like, in YouTube marketing or in conference marketing, it will be like it'll solve the entire world, it'll make the world peaceful kind of an approach they take it. But I don't see that happening at all with any of these technologies like right now. uh, maybe in certain industries it will be a B2B application only. So that is my viewpoint on the first one. And the second one is, with India, what I'm observing is, it's an actor driven economy. It's not tech driven economy. So, tech doesn't get the rewards here in India. Tech doesn't get budgeted. Tech doesn't get the R&D money allocated also. Uh, if a film is 100 crore rupees, 30 crores will go for an actor, is how I'm observing this whole market as. Or half the budget will go for actors, kind of a actor driven economy. Or people watch movies based on actors and not stories. That sentence is wrong, because there are people who appreciate good stories, but that population is very, very minuscule, which doesn't return the cost of investment many times for those filmmakers, the one who are story driven content or tech driven content and everything. Now, because it is like that, see, I also don't see anybody working again on tech from ground up. Like, they say Reliance Jio is working on models, language models and everything. Now, mm, like, is it like we have Geo glasses also, uh, but why is it not competing against Quest 3 or something like that? Uh, Now, am I doubting our talent in India? No, not really. Like, what an amazing engineering talent we have, right? So again, I would say content. If the content has to adopt technology, the three layers, somebody has to make decisions on which layers we are using. So I do see like somebody like A.R. Rahman using AI to he recreated voices for singers recently. It was in the news. Uh, Now they are adopting technology already. Like, there are few people who also like use lot of tech. Like, I also saw that in that film Hanuman, that was released recently, they use lot of Mid Journey backgrounds, it seems. So they are utilizing these things, but with Sora coming out, the quality of visuals in which it like there was a mammoth shot that I saw, mammoth running in snow. That would have been like a $30,000 shot in visual effects. It would have given a job for like 6, 7 people for about 8 months of time. Now that is gone because it's automated now. So, so how do you react to that such a thing now? Like I was also contemplating, like I also have a creative team of about 10 people. How does this work out? Like in terms of financials, like why will a client come to you as a creative company to come and get the work done if you can just prompt it and get it out there, right? The biggest problem right now is creative control. The amount of creative control is still not there in AI driven. And if you need to get creative control, the amount of prompting you have to do is equal to you working in a 3D software kind of mindset is there. Like that's how I'm thinking right now. If you want more control in the shot, like the elephant has to go right and then hit the tree and then come and hit the stone and then come here. I don't think that level of precision is possible in diffusion models at this point. At this point. Okay.
Right.
Maybe it is possible in about 2 years' time when the prompting mechanism is different, where you can go frame by frame prompting and then it will behave accordingly. But from what I've learned, I have also read about diffusion models and how transformers work and everything. It's usually pretty much on the training data and how the training models are also behaving. Right now, even those are controversial. Uh, I just praised somebody on LinkedIn for creating this Sora model, and an artist replied back with a very angry tone saying, "Why did this is like the lowest point of human civilization? These guys copied all the videos from the internet, and you are praising, these guys for, doing this software." So there is a lot of anger also in the market right now. Lot of despair and anger by a lot of, I would say, the creative community. The tech community is more like, wow, what a technology stack. Let's decipher this on Reddit or Twitter is what I'm observing. But
Right.
there are two weird viewpoints right now happening, and I think everybody is. I saw a sense of panic in in the way I was reading the comments and the way the industry was reacting. There was a sense of panic because lot of the shots I'm very sure a lot of the shots doesn't require visual effects right now, especially the ones that are not character driven shots where you have a close proximity character. You would never need them at all. So so that is what I've been focused on in making this happen.
Right. So I think Vivek rightfully pointed out, and I think we're sitting in a, a great transition, a revolution of
Mm-hmm.
sorts, where
Mm-hmm.
I think the entire human race needs to wake up from a slumber.
Mm-hmm.
At least here in India, you pointed out that the problem with content creation has been reached a stage where it's only about monetary gains or producers making money rather than storytelling or creating content which truly, you know, wakes up uh, the general public. Because I think it's so very easy to create these saas ki bhi kabhi bahu nahi thi kind of a stuff, or these actor driven films, where the mass is willing to pay that money and go to the theater, because all life has become so mundane, because we are constantly living from 9 to 9 trying to survive, and so that movie with an actor doing those jumping scenes, or a song running around the tree becomes more interesting, rather than maybe a story where you've got to break your head and kind of go 10 times to understand what the movie is all about. Giving an
Mm-hmm.
example of Tenet. So yes, I think, but I think it's the ecosystem which has kind of failed. And you said
Mm-hmm.
that, yeah, there are concerns. There are concerns about these artists who are saying that these LLMs are being trained on data, which is, I mean, open source data, and, data which is possibly not acquired. But if you give it a thought, what in this world is not copied or not been influenced by? I think, we like, I personally, or anyone, I mean, we are, there is just few ideas which comes from first principles thinking. Otherwise, I think most of the ideas, it's a repeat of sorts, and I think the world collaborates and grows when we take so much to make the entire world advance. Who would have
Mm-hmm.
thought that, people who were like normal lay people could just sit and throw in prompts and create content? Who would
Mm-hmm.
have thought that, I mean, non-designers,
Mm-hmm.
non-coders who could
Mm-hmm.
just sit at, in front of a comp, throw out a
Mm-hmm.
piece of, a context of a sentence, and, of a problem that needs to be solved, and voila, you have code, or you've got image, and you got world building. So it is for the larger good. But I think the world is so narrow, where we are always, I mean, driven, and the greed driven is always the big guys, because I think who's going to lose more here is the big tech. It's going to be the big companies going to lose, not the small people. So with tech stacks such as, your blockchain, or with AI, or AR, VR, MR, it's the world transitioning from the access which was only given to those people who could buy those services, to the world where anybody and everybody has those capabilities. So I personally, I mean, yeah, I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of brickbats for saying this, but I personally believe that we transitioning to a world where we need to handle these tech stack and make it accessible for everyone. There could be a rural guy sitting somewhere who has a dream of creating a narrative, and who's got a fantastic story which needs to be told from a first principles thinking, but has not been able to do it because of a certain storytelling, where it functions, where the producers think that a song where a actor and an actress runs around skimpily clad clothes can bring in more money, or an action sequence just for the heck of it can bring in more money, then, you lose storytelling. So I personally, this is my personal opinion, I feel that we getting into a fantastic point of time where we need more of these large language models, which needs to be trained more on the entire open source data which is available, through which applications are built, which enables and empowers everyone. And I think that's the world which, everyone would love to be in, rather than the world that which is currently hierarchical, top down driven, where it's capitalism kind and greed kinds of runs it. So my last question, Vivek, you talk about your vision, your moonshot, and maybe summarize these thoughts, these cluttered thoughts which I kind of
Sure.
threw out to you. What is the future of filmmaking going to be? And maybe share some advices to upcoming filmmakers, production houses, how they should be ready for this revolution.
Sure. So the way we are, we have two divisions in the company. Okay, there is a creative division called RTMS, and there's a graphics engineering division, pretty much like that, which is pretty much software engineering. We did the Dubai Expo project, Metaverse for that with Magnopus. So uh, with graphics engineering, we are pretty much like a software services company, but focused on computer graphics alone, just computer graphics. We are very good with our APIs and programming and understanding of how computer graphics works, how generative AI as an algorithm works. So there are a lot of companies that reach out and come to us as clients who want their own customized software projects. So that's something that's happening. We obviously want to grow big on that, and we are working hard on making good projects, working on them. And It's like we want to specialize on one thing. We do not want to be the Infosys or a Wipro or a Cognizant or a Tech Mahindra, because you see, they were all starting out as like they were helping out banking companies in the beginning. retail companies, such projects. And then they're also now into Metaverse. They also have a division for everything now. They also have a lot of Unity engineers, Unreal engineers. But we want to build on top of the fact that we have a creative sense and we want to have a technical sense and we want to focus just on that. All right. So that's the engineering part of it. Now, when it comes to the creative side of things, RTMS as a tech stack, we believe it is a replicatable model as an infrastructure as a service solution. We wanted to build hardware and software that works in cohesion with each other. It should not be in opposition because India has never built hardware and software at all in this field. It's just importing and just buying off the shelf whatever is there kind of an approach. With virtual production on the rise, we have been building hardware and software that works in cohesion, which we believe can be replicatable like a McDonald's kind of a model, where the tools are very optimized enough to uh, to do the task for your content creation. And I'm talking about good quality content creation that is exportable. That's the goal in which we are going. We want to help creators in India or Asia or across the world to be able to create exportable content that is currently only possible within like 3 or 4 studios within US, like a Paramount Studios or a Sony or a Disney, which holds the whole process or a vast number of resources and money to make such products. And according to me, like I'm stressing on it, it's all about process. If you have a very, very good, strong process, which is like 1,500 steps to make a blockbuster movie, and that process is set, then creativity can come inside the process and make the product happen. Right now, every time we are building a car, we have to find the steering wheel again and again and again, even though the steering wheel was made before or the wheel was made before, and again you have to go. It's like you need to have a proper car kind of supply chain for every shot. That's how I'm imagining life will be, which is AI will solve certain shots, real time will solve certain shots. You need actors for a certain shot, for expression capture. Everything else is needed. You have to focus on making a good product. So what we are doing as a company with RTMS is we are evolving every day it's getting more stronger and stronger. There's no going back, right? It's like a technology solution, right? So obviously it'll only evolve, and it'll adapt and evolve. The fact that it is a small team, what happens is if we say a open source GitHub repository, we will include it in the pipeline in like 1 week time. That's how fast we are. We adapt very fast into the pipelines and processes. So if you see an automatic vegetation model that or an automatic animal animation model that can do animal capture in just video and then transmit it into motion capture data, we will use it. We will do it. It's going to make the pipeline efficient. It's going to save 2 weeks of time. So data driven filmmaking, generative AI powered filmmaking is the way to go, but it needs a process place to do that all. It needs an organized place to do that all. So which is what is happening, and we are building that gradually right now. And I can see progress. I can see progress uh, happening. I'm trying to show that to the producers across other countries and India on how important process is, and getting positive feedback. But it's still an actor driven economy, so I cannot enforce that. But what's going to happen. Actors cannot save films all the time. It's only going to last for a certain amount of time. Okay, it's not going to, that hype train is not going to last long. Like, you cannot watch dumb films for a long time. There might be a fan base for dumb films, but that trend is not going to, even they will get bored of it after a point. So I mean, uh, it's all going to evolve properly. But for us right now, one of the focuses, I'm in Karnataka, Bangalore. One of the goals has been to build, like nobody builds like localized language models. For example, scriptwiz works only on English right now. Okay, if India has to produce exportable languages, because local languages are culture is what can get exported. uh, That's the uniqueness of the world building. World is unique about its culture. Okay, and when the world is unique is when the story becomes unique to the world, and that's when the script is unique. So if the script has to be unique, and if the script has to come into the world to show into the world, you need to support the local languages also to be able to come into this Gen AI landscape. The person that you are telling who has a brilliant story, there are brilliant people with brilliant stories, but can you support them, to use their language, to use their own culture? The beautiful thing about this world is there are certain languages that can emote certain things. Not every language can emote everything about human life and our awareness of this life itself. So certain language have the nuances in which they have the words that emote certain things. So uh, so one of the goals right now is we want to build models for localized languages wherein the script can be analyzed in local languages. So which means somebody has to work on the training the data. Now we do not have capital for the GPUs, right? A lot of matrix multiplications are happening, and training data might be available because a lot of books are OCR converted right now. You will get the text, but there should be people who understand how to do fine tuning of the models. Like you need to have humans who can do question and answer based format, so that you can arrange the data in a proper manner. You cannot just feed like humongous amount of data and expect it to work also. So that's the reason why OpenAI has been successful. It's because it's been in the works for like 5 6 years now. Uh, Data set is not easy to build, and Geo might say 48 languages of India might get language models, but where is the human resource who knows exactly how to follow those rules and guidelines? Tech Mahindra says they're building a local model. Uh, Let them all build, but for filmmaking, for content creation, you have your own challenges. You cannot take whatever Geo builds and use it for filmmaking. The guidelines of filmmaking, the guidelines of philosophy and psychology is extremely unique that we have to work on. So we're taking into consideration all of these things. And like I said, the goal is, can India export content and hence make money, so that the quality of living of the skilled artists is also high and not just dependent upon service based industries, which can be plugged out of their life at any point.
Vivek, really, really appreciate you taking time being part of the podcast. Yes, I think we living in an exciting point of time, and you rightfully pointed out, what we import has to be unique to us. I mean, why would anybody want a piece of cake which is already out there, which is and something with what they make? I mean, when we make something which is unique and it will be you will be able to export and there'll be an audience. Wish you the very best for everything that you're building, right from your service division to your real-time movie studio solutions. And I'm sure, I hope that India and the entire content studio understands that process is so very important, and
Hmm.
and we get into that full process driven, data driven content creation, which I think is going to be the future. So more power to you and the team, and to my listeners.
Thank
If you
you.
like what you see in here, then please press the subscribe button, and until next time, see you guys. Bye bye. Thank you. Third, the DOP